Freestyle skiing has long been recognized as the winter sport for the freewheelers and daredevils. But with a World Cup and Olympic presence, mogul skiing has become more technical, more refined, a sport in which pleasing the judges outweighs thrilling the crowd. The exception comes from the pros, where high speed and great air remain the fixtures on the Budweiser Mogul Tour. It's another typically beautiful Colorado winter day here at Copper Mountain. Bright blue skies, temperatures in the 40s, and the world's best professional mogul skiers are on hand for stop number 7 of the Budweiser Mogul Tour. Hello once again, everyone. I'm Tim Singer. Welcome to ESPN's coverage of the Carrera Copper Mountain Cup. I'm joined by our ESPN analyst and a former director of the Ski Patrol right here in Copper Mountain, Duffy Wilson. Duffy, this tour is winding down to the final few events. Chuck Martin is the overall leader right now, but there are a score of skiers trying to win that title. What will it take for someone to take charge?
Well, the competition has gotten so tight. Upon our arrival back here in Colorado in Aspen last week, we pushed the limits of the envelope. And here at Copper Mountain, I truly feel that the envelope is gone. Factors in that, the competition is so tight, these skiers are going to the limit. They are skiing right at the limit of their ability on very difficult runs. Here at Copper Mountain, we're at the top of Union Bowl, a double black diamond run, and the tour has built 2 5-foot jumps in the middle of this trail, 5 feet tall. They're as tall as I am. The competitors are flying down these courses, high speeds and huge air with great triple tricks. I don't know who the winner will be here, but whoever it is going to be a great run.
Well, get set for the best men's and women's competitors on the Budweiser Mogul Tour.
Endeavor here at Copper Mountain is steep and deep. At the top, over 12,000 feet, 35 degrees of pitch at the top, and almost 200 feet of vertical.
And to look at that course from the skier's point of view, or at least from the point of view of the skier's boot, it's time now for our Dynastar Vertical Assault Cam, and this week the camera has been strapped to the boot of competitor Mike Rawls of Breckenridge, Colorado. Taking a look at some of the early round action here on the Endeavor course at Copper Mountain. Upsets were the name of the game. The first victim, the tour's number 4 seed, Bob Dickey. Dickey has this nice helicopter on the second jump, but that slows him down enough for Jammin' Jim Gettin to blow by him into the round of 16. Gettin would also be eliminated in the next round. In that round of 16, a major upset. You're looking at Chuck Martin, the number 1 seed, donning that head and shoulders above the rest, Tour points leader bib, but it was Shane McConkey with the huge second air, turning on the speed and upsetting Chuck Martin. With the elimination of Martin, Scott Hall has the chance to make the run at the number 1 spot on this tour and had all he could handle in Bill Carrick. It was a close duel until look out at the finish line. Carrick has this huge wipeout sliding across the finish area through the fence, taking out a cameraman and some spectators on the way. Bill Carrick appeared to be shaken up but was later checked out in the Valio first aid tent. He was okay, but it was Scott Hall moving on into the quarterfinals. Checking out that quarterfinal draw, Shane McConkey will take on Klaus Holm. Cameron Boyle is set to go up against Scott Skyman Harrington. Bradley Holmes faces Justin Patnode, and Chris Carson will face Scott Hall. We've got all the action coming your way, so stay with us from Copper Mountain.
The Budweiser Mogul Tour, brought to you by Head & Shoulders and by Ford Trucks. Ford Trucks, the best never rests.
We're back in Copper Mountain. Tim Singer along with Duffy Wilson, coverage of the Budweiser Mogul Tour. We're now set for the quarterfinals. On the left course, 23-year-old Shane McConkey. On the right, 24-year-old Klaus Holm. Duffy in the preliminary rounds. We saw a lot of crashes, especially before the break. That crash by Bill Carrick. This is one of the most dangerous courses we've ever seen on this tour.
There's no question about that. It's causing a lot of upsets, too. Both of these racers, these skiers, have moved up with upsets.
Blue course ready. Racers ready.
They are out of the gate, both skiing out of Vail, Colorado, although Holm originally from Sweden. They take their top air nicely.
Nice air, great landings. They both got it back down on their feet, and look at Klaus Holm rock in the middle of that red course.
Holm having trouble before the second jump as McConkey takes it clean. Holm is down, so after a third place finish a week ago, he will not advance here, and Shane McConkey, who finished 8th a week ago, will advance into the semifinals here in Copper Mountain.
And Shane McConkey with a very nice helicopter on the top of the course. A great liftoff, really nice revolution, and an excellent landing on his way to this win.
The spectators in the hospitality area taking in the sunshine and the great action here at Copper Mountain. The quarterfinals continue on the left. Cameron Boyle, he'll be facing on the right. Scott Harrington. Cameron Boyle, the two-time defending tour champ, looking for his first event win in over a year. Harrington's had great results as well, both training out of Killington, Vermont.
Cameron seeded number 5, his best result this year, a third. I look for Cameron to ski within himself on the blue course.
And they are out of the gate. Harrington has been in just 3 events this year, top 6 finishes in all 3.
Nice doubles up top, and you see right there Harrington having trouble. He may have crossed the line, Tim, as we watch Cameron now come to the lower air, and Harrington is just speeding Cameron with a big crash for Boyle on the bottom. No, he's up!
Cameron Boyle had all sorts of problems as he may have crossed the center line. He crossed the finish line first, and we await to see if the judges have disqualified either of these competitors or who in fact has won this duel. And on the red course, in very much a split decision, Scott Skyman Harrington moves on to the semifinals.
Cameron Boyle has this run won in the middle of the course. Look at these very nice turns, upper body on this steep course, really quiet. As he comes into the lower jump, a very nice double, but look at the landing. Cameron is going to have problems here on the lower portion of the course, and this is how tight the competition is. Harrington advances, Boyle makes one mistake.
And the quarterfinals continue with this duel. On your left, 28-year-old Justin Patnode, originally from Burlington, Vermont, now resides in Frisco, Colorado. On the right, 23-year-old Bradley Holmes from the Olympic town of Squaw Valley, California.
Bradley Holmes has been injured. He's back here at Copper Mountain. Justin Patnode said he's got to ski more aggressively.
Good results from both skiers throughout the season. Justin with a lot of top 15 finishes, but no better than 7th. He did that twice. Holmes, of course, won 1 event, second in 2 others.
Patnode with a big jump at the start. Huge spreads by both competitors. They get into the middle section of the course. Justin making good turns. Look at Brad, great turns in the middle.
Justin maintaining that speed edge, but now it's Bradley Holmes with the big move on the right side, turning on the afterburners as he moves across the finish line ahead of Patnode. And look out as the snow blows, he goes into the Budweiser inflatable. And the judges give the nod to Justin Patnode in a mild upset of sorts. He eliminates Bradley Holmes and moves on to the semifinals.
Well, that was a close call for the judges, but Timmy, for you and me, that was a really close call. And folks, that's a representation of how fast these guys are going. Bradley Holmes unable to keep it together in the finish on a run that he might have won, and look at this crash. He missed us by about 5 feet.
And a view of the valley of the Arapahoe National Forest here in the central Rocky Mountains. We get set for our final quarterfinal duel. On the left course, on the blue, Chris Carson. He's from Kalamazoo, Michigan originally. He'll be taking on Scott Hall. Scott Hall, with a good showing here, can take over the overall points title.
Scott Hall seated number 2, but I'm going to tell you something right now, Timmy. In the early round, Scott Hall has blown up continually. He is skiing so hard. Let's watch Scott.
They approach the first jump, and Hall with the twister spread, lucky to get into the quarterfinals, as twice he lost his ski, but his opponent was disqualified before he in those duels. Now they approach the second jump, and here is Scott Hall again with a decided advantage.
A nice double, and Scott Hall put it right on his feet. Chris Carson not coming down the course nearly as fast as Hall.
So Scott Hall, with a win already in Sunday River this season, crosses the finish line well out in front of Carson. And getting the nod from every judge, Scott Hall has advanced into the next round, eliminating Chris Carson. And so the semifinals are set here at Copper Mountain. Shane McConkey will take on Scott Harrington. Then it will be Justin Patnode facing Scott Hall. We've got that coming up in a moment, but when we return to Copper Mountain, the women will be coming down the hill. Stay with us. Welcome back to ESPN's coverage of the Carrera Copper Mountain Cup. We've got the women's competition upcoming in a moment, but right now let's take a tour around this Copper Mountain resort area. And the tour this week is led by the Canadian team and female competitor, Darian Boyle. Back down on the race course, it's time now for the Budweiser Mogul Tour's Paul Mitchell Women's Pro Mogul Series. And this week, as we look at some of the early round action, same players involved as last week in Aspen. The defending tour champion Patty Sherman in this semifinal duel against Darian Boyle. Boyle with the nice helicopter on the second air, but not a nice landing as she wipes out and Sherman advances into the finals. Meantime, Susan DeBias went up against Elizabeth Wise. This too a close duel until the second air when it was Wise, like Darian Boyle, who has the nice jump but not the nice landing. Susan DeBias moves on into the championship. In fact, it's the top two seeds, Patty Sherman and Susan DeBias, in a rematch of last week's title matchup in Aspen.
Susan DeBias will be on the red course. She won last week in Aspen, and it'll be Patty Sherman on the blue course. Patty's been kind of ill, had bronchitis. She's made it to the finals.
You can bet she has revenge in her mind nonetheless, as Patty lost, as you said, last week. And in fact, Susan has had the better of Patty over the past few duels. Susan DeBias with wins last year in Aspen and Arapahoe Basin. However, Patty is the defending overall tour champion. Out of the gate, Patty Sherman looking for her first win of the year on the left, Susan DeBias on the right.
Sherman taking it straight down the hill off the upper air, and no question that DeBias went sideways off that upper jump.
Susan DeBias out of the World Cup program had a 6th place against the best of the world, 1990 in Lake Placid. Now approaching the second jump.
Patty Sherman went way wide on the blue course, and she's way far forward, but she gets it back together again, Tim. She may have DQ'd right there.
It will be close to see whether Patty crossed the center line. We do know that she crossed the finish line first. And on the red course, Susan DeBias has done it again, edging out Patty Sherman. She remains undefeated in 1993 as she wins the title here in Copper Mountain. Checking out the final standings of the Budweiser Mogul Tour's Paul Mitchell Women's Pro Mogul Series, Susan DeBias takes it over Patty Sherman. Elizabeth Wise ends up in 3rd. She's followed by Darian Boyle, while Robinette Gillis leads off the back 4. But right now, Duffy Wilson standing by with Susan DeBias. Duffy, the question has got to be, can anyone defeat Susan DeBias?
Well, I don't know, Timmy. It wasn't Patty Sherman today. Again, the Patty Sherman, Susan DeBias show. Susan DeBias, the winner here in Copper Mountain on a very, very difficult course.
That was the toughest course we skied all year. It was steep, and the ruts were just huge.
You skied it very well. I know it was intimidating, a very close finish. Can the women handle these big courses in Colorado?
I think so.
I'm glad you think so, and you skied very well. Congratulations to Susan DeBias, the winner here at Copper Mountain.
So Susan DeBias well in control as the overall points leader on this tour, but the men's action is still tight and hot, and we've got the semifinals coming up right after this. Welcome back to Copper Mountain, Colorado. We've got the semifinals of the Budweiser Mogul Tour coming up in a moment. You know, like the sports of diving and figure skating and the other disciplines of freestyle skiing, mogul skiing is a judged sport, and this is a fact that causes mixed reactions on the part of the competitors.
And a lot of times somebody can win full-out turns, both turns, air, judge, and still lose because they got a 5.0 speed. And a lot of times, you know, completing your course, you should at least get 1 point in speed, not a 0.
There's got to be some reward for coming down first, you know, and if you do beat a guy, it shows you that you were skiing that much harder. I think the emphasis should be back on the turn judge to take away if the guy is not turning as much.
I'd like to see it go back to either red or blue. Just keep it simple. The judge just thinks about which course ski better and not worry about numbers.
You know, Duffy, it is admittedly tough, if not impossible, for the judge to watch 2 skiers at once, but a lot of the athletes are talking about the fact that speed is overemphasized. But this is a duel. It's a race to the bottom.
Well, who's overemphasizing speed? It looks to me like the skiers are. These guys are hammering to the finish, and what my concern is, it's dangerous, and also the skiing may be suffering because of the speed in this sport.
Well, we know one thing: it will take great skiing and great speed to advance to the final. It's time now for the semifinals here at Copper Mountain. We go to the top of the course.
All right.
On the left, Scott Skyman Harrington, 30 years old, originally from New Hampshire. He's facing on the right, 23-year-old Shane McConkey from Vail. A bit of a surprise, but Shane's been skiing well the past few weeks.
And now when you look at our bracket sheet, he's on the top side. He's left Chuck Martin behind. McConkey on the red course.
Red course ready. Blue course ready. Racers ready.
Scott Harrington likes to do those helicopters, the 360-degree turns. We'll see if he does one. Not at top, but he has some big air, but McConkey with the speed advantage.
A little rough off the airs for both competitors, but look at Shane McConkey. Just blasted. Shane McConkey having problems above the lower air.
That is what you would call being out of control as McConkey misses the second jump, crosses the finish line well out in front of Harrington. Harrington perhaps with the more complete run. And on the red course, despite missing that second jump, speed has done it. As we mentioned, Shane McConkey eliminates Scott Harrington and advances to his first ever championship on the Budweiser Mogul Tour.
Shane McConkey is in the lead with great air at the top of the course. Look at this very nice helicopter and right on his feet. Very nice turns in the middle of the course, and Shane is really flying at this time. But he almost falls down just above the lower air, and he's unable to take that air. Right now, is he 5-0 with the judges in air? Yes, he is, but he picks it up. You can take 2 airs on the course. They don't have to be off the jumps. There's a little double, and he gets the speed judge big time, 4-1 at the finish.
And a silhouette view of the final skiers of the day making their way up the chairlift here near the top of Copper Mountain, but at the top of the course, our final semifinal. Scott Hall, with a win here, he advances to the championship, but he is also gunning for the Tour Points title. He'll be facing on the right Justin Patnote, a former extreme skier, making his mark now on the mogul circuit.
Survival of the fittest. Patnote on the red, Hall on the blue, and this course will give us anything.
Scott Hall, perhaps the most improved skier on this tour, ranked 16th overall last year, now 2nd. Justin Patnote comes off a number 9 ranking a season ago. They're approaching their second jump. Justin on the right, Scott Hall first with the jump on the left, and he'll be first across the finish line. On the blue course by a 13-12 score in a split decision, Scott Hall has defeated Justin Patnote and moves on to the championship round. So the championship bracket is set here at the Carrera Copper Mountain Cup. It will be Shane McConkey taking on Scott Hall for the title. That's coming up in a bit, but first this ESPN programming reminder. The Budweiser Mogul Tour will be coming to you next from Arapahoe Basin, Colorado, Wednesday, February 24th at 1:30 Eastern Time. And we'll be back to Copper Mountain right after this. Welcome back to the Budweiser Mogul Tour. As the sun slowly sets in the west, this duel will be for 3rd place. On the left, Justin Patnote. He'll be facing on the right, Scott Harrington. I've been teasing the viewers with helicopters all day long, Duffy, but these guys both try to do those 360s. Maybe we'll see it now.
Big spread and a twister by Harrington. Justin with a nice spread, having problems in the middle section of the course. Justin back into his turns.
Harrington on the right takes the second jump first with the triple maneuver. The big jump, however, on the left by Justin Patnode, who excels ahead of Harrington across the finish line first. On the blue course by a 13-12 score, Justin Patnode tops Scott Harrington, capturing his first medal of the season on the Budweiser Mogul Tour. This is for the championship of the Carrera Copper Mountain Cup. On the left course, in his first final ever, 23-year-old Shane McConkey. On the right, it is Scott Hall in his third final with a 1-1 record. And Duffy, with a win in this duel, Scott Hall will tie Chuck Martin for the overall points lead. Chuck Martin down below, watching with great interest.
Yeah, I just looked over at Chuck, and Chuck gave me the thumbs up sign, and I don't know if that means that he's going to be number one or Scotty Hall is. Shane McConkey's been having a good day, and they're on a course.
And approaching the first jump, this is Shane McConkey with the helicopter, pulling out all the stops here in the championship, also ahead of Scott Hall.
And a great landing by Shane as he got close to the middle stripe. Shane McConkey to the bottom air. Nice little triple. Let's see what happens at the finish.
This is a race to the finish with McConkey crossing first. Scott Hall could pull no more than just the single Daffy at the bottom air. And a wild and excited Shane McConkey, the former alpine skier turned freestyle specialist, has captured his first ever professional mogul title.
And Shane McConkey did this with a very solid run on a very tough course. Great air and landing at the top, excellent turns in the middle at high speed, and a nice triple at the bottom, his first win on the tour.
So a check at the final standings here in Copper Mountain. Shane McConkey takes his first ever title, defeating Scott Hall, Justin Patnode third, and Scott Harrington fourth. A look at some of the other notables. Chris Carson with another top 10 finish. Last week's winner in Aspen, Scott Rawls, ends up in 10th, and defending tour champ Dave Hilb, a 14th place finish. Duffy Wilson right now is standing by with Shane McConkey. Duffy, the underlying theme all day has been speed. It appears that Shane won with just that.
This was a tough day. I know a lot of the competitors had trouble on the course, but you were able to take that speed to the finish line.
Yeah, I don't know what to say. It was the greatest race of my life. This is the best day I've ever had. I just got lucky a couple times and skied solid.
All right, Shane McConkey, his first win here at Copper Mountain.
And on this day full of great speed, we honor some of the great jumps. The Bauer Big Air of the Week this week is shared by good friends Chris Carson and Justin Patnode. Well, Scott Hall just missed out on a title here in Copper and also just misses out in grabbing the head and shoulders above the rest of the tour points lead. Chuck Martin remains the leader, 1 point ahead of Hall, then Bradley Holmes, Cameron Boyle, and Chris Carson, while Scott Koff leads off the back five. Well, you're looking at Shane McConkey, his first ever win, and he'll lead the gang of skiers to Arapahoe Basin, Colorado, where we will be joining you next. Until then, for Duffy Wilson and all of us here at ESPN, I'm Tim Singer. Thanks for joining us.
Lodging this week provided by the Copper Mountain Resort in Summit County, Colorado. Ski wear for the Budweiser Mogul Tour staff and crew provided by Mountain Goat. People who know where they're going and why.